Welcome to The Sports Bubble, a production of iHeartRadio and Treefort Media. My name is Jensen Karp, and I'm a sports fan. And my office is looking more and more like Claire Danes' workspace in Homeland. I'm keeping track of every positive test in sports, connecting them by strings, and marking the hotspots. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's hard to keep up. Things are changing constantly, and even Adam Silver admits now, with coming up on 10% positive tests in the NBA, there's no running from the virus. And all this is happening while the country continues to seek justice and equality, opening its eyes to the struggle Black people have faced since what feels like the beginning of time. It's a lot to handle. What? Oh, okay, another positive. Well, I'll post it on the board when I'm done with this intro. Quite a workload these days. Mostly because I'm still talking to athletes and sports industry professionals about what they're doing during this very weird time. Because even they have no idea what's going to happen. Trust me, it's all in the sports bubble. One of baseball's best players, Andrew McCutchen, is also one of the league's best assets when it comes to personality. Anyone who's followed the five-time All-Star and 2015 NL MVP on social media knows he's hilarious and witty and thoughtful, all attributes that have made him a fan favorite. But I've often wondered why his sense of humor hasn't sent him into mainstream orbit, like, say, how Blake Griffin did with the NBA. During quarantine, he's even created a hilarious alter ego named Uncle Larry, a mustachioed elderly man in sunglasses and a ridiculous wig who also appears to hate Andrew's guts. It's super funny. And then there's his new viral Topps baseball card that debuted last week that you just have to Google to appreciate. The guy is a meme machine that everyone should know about. So in this conversation, Andrew and I talk about the culture of baseball and why maybe his type of swagger isn't necessarily appreciated enough. We also chat about returning from injury, conforming for the Yankees, baseball's need for African-American outreach, and how, or if, Major League Baseball locker rooms can actually adapt to 2020's Black Lives Matter movement. Listen, if this gets you to at least follow Andrew and Uncle Larry on social media, well, my job here is done. So let's chop it up on this episode of The Sports Bubble with Jensen Karp.
Call from
Andrew McCutchen.
To accept, press 1.
Hello, Andrew. Nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to start off, I know you went viral in this new rental house. You took a picture kind of playing off the Will Smith meme. I wanted to talk to you for a second. Before the move, where did you spend quarantine?
Okay, so there was a couple places I spent my quarantine. Mm-hmm. First, I was in Clearwater, continuing my rehab there at the spring training facilities. And then I left Clearwater and went back home to my hometown. Well, not my hometown, but where I live in Pittsburgh. So I was at those two places, and yeah, now I'm in Philadelphia.
I don't mean to be your Uncle Phil here, but I'm nervous that you won't be able to furnish the house during a quarantine and get a sofa.
Oh yeah, so yeah, me and my wife, we purchased some furniture last year in Philadelphia, and we just left it in storage here. So whenever when we come back to Philadelphia for the season, we just get that stuff out of storage. So I had the moving company and get our stuff out of storage and bring our things the next day after I posted that picture. So that's kind of what we do. It just right when I came to the house, right, it gave me that feel of that episode. So I just figured, I'm by myself, not doing anything. I might as well just post a picture of it.
Good. You've saved my fears of what you're going to be doing in Philly. But you're coming off a season-ending injury in 2019, a torn ACL. Did the break in working? Did it help or hurt the schedule you had in mind? This is obviously the longest you've probably went without baseball by a long shot.
Yeah, there's definitely a silver lining with it. For me, it did help me because I wasn't going to be ready come March 26th or whatever day it was that the opening day was going to be happening this year. So for me, us having this break, it definitely helped me be able to rehab and take my time through the rehab process. And so it was good for me. And yeah, it helped me get to feeling ready and ready to go and ready to play.
Well, we have to talk about my favorite thing from Baseball Stop Down now. It is the baseball card. I assume this is all you've been texted about, all you've been emailed about, because it truly brings a smile to my face. Topps revealed their big Series 2 set, and there's a picture of you that a lot of people are calling the greatest baseball card ever produced. You are wearing a bandana under your hat. You're double cupped in the dugout, jersey half open, chains exposed. It is truly beautiful. Can you please tell me the background of this photo?
Yeah. So basically that day, I was probably a month post-op from my ACL surgery. So I had just got back to Philadelphia after my surgery, and just to be around the fellows again. And I was just trying to bring, a little bit of light to the season, trying to be positive, trying to, find ways to be able to make a difference, even though I can't be on the field and playing. So we had the throwback uni day of wearing those uniforms, and I thought there were some pretty dope uniforms. They had a big zipper in the middle, and I was like, man, I need to make this just a retro day. I need to look like, how I feel in this uniform. So I got what people didn't see were the sneakers. The sneakers were the best part of the whole outfit.
What were those?
There were just some throwback Nikes that I had. They kind of give you the feel of the old Cortez shoe. But yeah, they were some pretty dope shoes that I was wearing. So I just made the whole outfit, zipped it down, put the chain on, and those sunglasses were actually Gabe Kapler's aviators. I guess they were a pretty good pair of sunglasses. And so he was like, you got to complete the outfit with these sunglasses. So he gave them to me, and double cup Red Bull, and I was out there just enjoying myself, having a good time. So
yeah, the card is going for $200 on eBay. I don't know if you know that.
I'm sure those prices will go down here soon.
Crazy. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about your sort of persona on Instagram and Twitter and social media in general. Tell me how Uncle Larry started.
Funny thing, I've always been the type of person to be kind of quite the jokester of my family, loving to make people laugh. I don't know if it's not that far off, but pretty familiar with Vine. When Vine videos were really big, I used to love watching Vine videos. So I used to make Vines all the time and send them to my family, send them to my wife all the time, and friends. They'd always say how crazy I was and how stupid I was. And so once this quarantine hit, my wife was like, you should do something, make fun, make light of the situation that you're in. You always like to make funny videos. Why don't you do that? Keep doing it. So I kind of sat with her, talked to her about it, talked to my PR guy about it. And then that's how Uncle Larry came about. And Uncle Larry, for people who don't know, it was because of basically the way the name came about was because I was taking batting practice during spring training, and someone posted a video of me taking batting practice, and they straight up botched my name, called me Lawrence McCutchen, and was like, I'm going to take that and run with it. And so that's kind of how it all came about. The name came about, and the character came about.
I bring up all this personality stuff and how much fans enjoy seeing you, especially me, your personality and what you do online, to get to some heavier stuff. Because with COVID and the murder of George Floyd and the resulting response from America finally opening their eyes to the struggles that Black people have been facing for hundreds of years, I was genuinely moved by Ian Desmond's Instagram post this past week. Did you get to read it?
Yeah, I definitely read through that, and it was definitely moving to hear and read some of the things that he had to talk about, for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff stuck out to me. I mean, honestly, it's been sort of plaguing me all week, and it's been mentioned by Amir Garrett, a former guest on the show as well, in a sort of roundabout way on Instagram. But one part I can't shake, it involves Ian bringing up sort of a good old boy culture that exists in baseball and what he describes as quote unquote white rules to the sport. Don't have fun, don't pimp home runs, don't play with your character, don't do anything fancy. It's kind of the opposite of what the NBA has sort of found popularity within. And it started to hit me that this eye for an eye, you throw your bat, you get hit, or it feels kind of racial, and it obviously did to Ian Desmond as well. What did you take out of that angle on it?
Yeah, I mean, there are some unwritten rules to this game and to this sport that we play in. There's so many rules that are unwritten, so many things, and so many creeds and guidelines that you're a part of and that you have to be taught in this game. And there are a lot of there's ways that people take things. They take things two different ways. I definitely like to look at it. And Adam Jones has said this before as well. He said if I get mad or if I throw my bat and I get heated in a situation, I'm deemed angry. But they said, if there was a white guy who does the same thing, he's deemed a gamer. And he was like, and there are certain situations like that to where you do see two different sides taken in two different ways, even though it's two people doing the same thing. And that does happen in this game. There are unwritten rules in this game that we feel like we have to abide by. And at the same time, I just feel, there needs to be change in it, and there needs to be an understanding of what we're talking about and ways that we need to go about it here, coming from here and moving forward in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about, the Yankees came to mind. You played there. Obviously, the shaving of the beard requirements, not overshadowing the jersey, letting that kind of be the star. This morning before we talked, the Yankees organization said that they look forward to sort of the Black Lives Matter movement showing itself in the game. It's difficult for me to accept those rules in 2020, that even the shaving of the beard, which seems so minuscule, but it's like the individualism of baseball and the issues with black representation in the league. It seems like they're not catering to what maybe the black community might be looking for in baseball back in the day with Ken Griffey Jr. and people me and you looked up to.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a great organization to be a part of. To don those pinstripes, for me, it was an honor. It was something that I felt I would never have the opportunity to do. So even though it's the same game, you definitely feel a sense of, like you feel a little more, in a sense, powerful when you put that uniform on. But, those policies, shaving and letting the jersey speak for itself, I definitely do think it takes away from our individualism as players and as people. We express ourselves in different ways. For me, when I was on the Pirates and me having my dreadlocks, I'd be lying to you if I said if I had to go to got traded over to the Yankees and they said, you got to shave your hair. For me, that was a very tough thing to do because that was who I was. That was how I expressed myself. That's who made me Andrew McCutchen. That's how people noticed who I was. It made me unique. I think, especially in this year, the year of 2020, I think, I just feel like these things should be things that people should take at heart and realize that, we have a way of expressing ourselves in different ways. And I definitely feel like maybe there should be some change there in the future. Who knows when, but yeah, those are just one of the many things in this game that I feel it needs to be talked about. It needs to be addressed.
I mean, what can we do? So Desmond brings up only one black GM, two black managers, now less than 8% black players. I'm a 40-year-old who idolized. I mean, I was laying in bed last night sort of thinking over this interview. I was thinking of the Dwight Goodens, the Darryl Strawberries, the Ken Griffeys, obviously, even down to the Kevin Mitchell year in the Giants. Like, these guys were top of their game. What happened? It seems like a trickle down from the front office down that the African-American culture just hasn't gravitated towards baseball.
Yeah, you definitely have to try and pinpoint this. And believe me, I've been trying to pinpoint this for quite some time and quite some years now. The game in itself, because I remember I had guys who I admired as a little kid. When I sat down in front of the TV and I would watch someone who looked like me and someone who I wanted to play the game like, being someone like Ken Griffey Jr., watching him play this game with a flair that stood out amongst so many other people. I wasn't looking at his color as a young kid. I wasn't saying because he's black, like I have a chance. I was just looking at him because he just was different. And he played the game with a flair that no one had. And for me, that resonated with me because I wanted to do that same thing as a kid. So I tried to emulate him in so many ways. And I just feel like with the game now, there's so many different outlets. And I talked about this before in an article, talking about the game and the access to the game, the amount of money that has to be spent, and realizing that it is so hard for families to be able to provide for kids, especially kids of color, inner city kids who have families that are making lower income. This game has just become a game that is expensive. So it kicks those kids out at a certain point. It kicks them out to where they can't keep continuing to play this game if they want exposure. If they want to be on these teams that are the teams to be a part of. it gets to a point where there's a line that they can't cross because the game just becomes too expensive. The accessibility of it becomes too hard. So I think that's just what's happened over time is, these games, these tournaments, these teams is starting to cater to an upper class of people who can afford to play the game and to be able to make it further and to be seen. It just starts to cater to a certain class. So I think that's what's starting to happen, honestly. That's just one of the things. And we know the statistics, especially in black families. The single family home is pretty big in the black families, in the black community. And it's hard for those families to be able to provide for those kids to play this game.
After this, more with Philadelphia Phillies all-star outfielder Andrew McCutchen. Right now, Feeding America is working tirelessly to ensure our most vulnerable populations, like students who are out of school, the elderly, individuals whose jobs are impacted, and low-income families, continue to have access to food and other needed resources during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Feeding America Food Bank Network is committed to serving communities and people facing hunger in America, and their greatest need is donations and support of local food banks. This podcast is committed to donating a portion of the proceeds from the show to Feeding America, and we hope that you can join us in this effort too. Find out how you can help at feedingamerica.org/COVID-19. Now, let's get back to Andrew. You going back this season, whatever it ends up being in 2020, obviously Black Lives Matter will still be on the minds of players. And, no one would ever call baseball, a kind of friendly nature when it comes to politics. I mean, we said the same thing about NASCAR, and they look great right now. There's a lot of progression there. Do you expect to walk into a locker room that understands what's went on the last few months?
Yes and no. I feel that there will be some people that understand it, but I do feel that it needs to continue to be talked about. And with the amount of African Americans that are in this game, being that it is only not even 8%, that it's something that will, if we don't talk about it, it'll easily be swept under a rug. So it's just because we don't have many people that represent us in this game. And, there's some guys who aren't in my position. There's some guys who feel, they may want to say something or speak up or talk about it, but at the same time, they don't want to feel like they're overstepping their boundaries or feel like they're making people uncomfortable, considering that they're one of maybe 3 African Americans in the clubhouse, if that. Mm-hmm. So if it's not addressed amongst the team or the clubhouse, then it's something that more than likely won't be talked about. And so it takes people like myself and others in this game to be able to speak up and to be able to make this a public and not just in clubhouses from one team to the other, hoping that these are the things that happen. If we don't make them happen, then more than likely won't.
Yeah, I hope to see baseball evolve that way. Truly, as a fan, it has bothered me in the past, and I think this is the time for a lot of sports to finally face it. I wanted to ask, kind of in closing, and then I'll do a fun little game with you about Uncle Larry. Some questions I have about him. With COVID numbers rising, guys like Desmond making the decision, Zimmerman still on the fence. Have you questioned returning at all?
There definitely were times where I questioned returning myself, considering my family and knowing just the difficulties of the season and how it's going to be. My family is going to have to, my wife, and she's going to have to uproot the kids and move from one place to the other after we've already moved, a couple of times already this year. So that's going to be difficult in itself. So there's so many different variables that go along with this season, but I love the game, and I haven't played since June 4th of last year, and I want to play this game as much as possible, because I know there's a time that's going to come where, I won't be playing anymore. So, with all of that and with thinking things through, I was, we made the decision that, this is something, that I want to do. And my wife, of course, she supports that. And I thought about it at first, but after talking about it and really going over things, this is a decision that we made, and we feel good about it.
Great. Well, I wanted to play a game with you, something I feel passionate about, if that's cool. It's called Would Uncle Larry? Okay, I'm going to give you some situations, and you tell me if Uncle Larry would or would not do this thing. Is that cool with you?
Okay, let's go.
All right, here we go. My number 1, would Uncle Larry ask for someone's phone number at a family reunion?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on. It depends on what he gets out of the deal.
Okay.
It's always all about him.
Okay. Would Uncle Larry order a Whopper at McDonald's and then laugh at his own joke for 20 minutes, even though he's been doing it for decades?
No, he's probably not gonna order a Whopper. He has a sweet tooth, so it'll more likely be like a McFlurry or something like that.
Okay.
But he's definitely gonna laugh at his own joke. He's doing that.
Okay. All right. So this plays into it a little because it's still food related. Would Uncle Larry eat sunflower seeds in his car, and would he spit them in a cup or put them out the window when he's done with the shells?
All right. So if it's his car and I'm in the car with him, he's just gonna spit them in my face. And if it's someone else's car, then he'll probably be nice about it and do it in a cup.
Okay, good. A couple left. Would Uncle Larry talk about how easy you have it all the time and repeatedly remind you that his parents used to whip him for coughing too loud?
Yeah, he definitely would. He's going to stress the truth. He keeps stressing the truth. So
okay.
Yeah, that's something he definitely would do.
I like that. Okay, would Uncle Larry watch unsolved mysteries with a pen and pad because he thinks he can solve them?
No, because he doesn't like crime. So
all right,
he's going to avoid that one.
Last one. Would Uncle Larry go to a roller rink in 2020 and bring his own Jodeci tape for the DJ to play?
Yeah, he's all about Jodeci and that whole genre. So he's going to bring Jodeci and probably a couple other albums. But yeah, that's all about that. He would definitely do that.
To me, it was crucial it was a tape. I felt like Uncle Larry's definitely a tape guy.
Yeah, he's all about tapes and cassette players and VCRs. So that's him, and camcorders.
Andrew, stay safe. I was such a fan. Can't wait to see you back on the field, and I'll stay on your social media because it truly is one of my favorite things going.
All right, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
The Sports Bubble is produced and distributed by Treefort Media. The show is executive produced by Kelly Garner, Lisa Ammerman, Matthew Kugler, and me, Jensen Karp. Tom Monahan is our senior audio engineer and sound supervisor, with production and editing by Jasper Leak. Additional production help from Tim Schauer, June Rosen, and Haley Mandelberg. Our theme music is composed by Spilkus. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, please subscribe, rate us, and review us on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And please visit feedingamerica.org. If you're able to make a donation, any amount makes a difference, and you can learn more about other ways you can help on their website. For more information on the Sports Bubble, links to the socials, and for show transcripts for our hearing impaired listeners, go to treefort.fm. Be safe and be well. The Sports Bubble is a production of iHeartRadio and Treefort Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.